In the world of MMA, some moves that used to work well are hardly seen today.
Tap out right there, just too painful.
You are about to see something that you have never seen before.
The sport has changed a lot, and so have the techniques. While some old moves don't cut it anymore, there are others that have stood the test of time. Let's delve into the history of MMA and explore why some have become obsolete and discover the ones that still matter in today's fight. In the fast-paced world of mixed martial arts, fighters are continually adapting and evolving, transforming the sport into a dynamic spectacle. With this evolution comes a natural shift in the effectiveness of certain moves. What worked like a charm in the past may find itself on the sidelines today as fighters and their strategies progress. As fighters become more well-rounded and versatile, some traditional moves lose their impact. Take, for instance, the reliance on specific signature moves or techniques. In the early days of MMA, fighters often excelled in specialized disciplines like wrestling, jiu-jitsu, or striking. However, the modern MMA athlete is a hybrid, blending multiple styles seamlessly. The effectiveness of certain moves diminishes as opponents become more adept at defending against them. Fighters now undergo comprehensive training in all aspects of the game, making it harder to catch them off guard with outdated or one-dimensional techniques. Moreover, the level of athleticism in MMA has risen dramatically. Fighters today are faster, stronger, and possess better conditioning than their predecessors. This increased physical prowess allows them to escape precarious situations more effectively and withstand attacks that might have been more damaging in the past. Let's look at some examples of MMA moves that worked in the past but are useless today. In the old days of MMA, covering the mouth was a trick some fighters used to mess with their opponents. This move was all about disrupting the other guy's breathing by clamping down on their mouth and nose at the same time. One of the representatives of this tactic was Dan Henderson.
Garrett's looking for that submission. The bicep, the wrist, that is strong.
He was slapping his left hand over the opponent's mouth while throwing punches with his right. It was a bit of a sneaky move, kind of like holding a guy down against the cage. Not the most exciting thing for us fans, and definitely a bit of a jerk move to the opponent. This move is still legal in the UFC today, as long as they keep their fingers out of the opponent's mouth and nose. Maybe it's because fighters and fans alike prefer more action-packed and skillful bouts. The sport has evolved, and these days you're more likely to see a knockout or a slick submission than someone trying to stifle their opponent's breathing. So while it was once part of the game, covering the mouth has become a rare sight in modern mixed martial arts. Stomping the foot is another move that we don't see much these days. One famous example is when Usman did it to Jorge Masvidal, but let's be honest, it's kind of boring to watch and it's not that effective. Sure, you can technically win a fight by stomping your opponent's foot, but most fighters don't think it's worth the risk. John Jones even broke and dislocated his toe once, but didn't realize it until someone told him.
All right, I'm here with the champ. Oh, he's got a broken foot.
That shows you how subtle and not so game-changing foot stomps can be. They might make your opponent limp later, but they rarely end the fight right there. In the end, stomping the foot is legal, but it's not a go-to strategy for most fighters these days. They'd rather go for something more exciting and effective to entertain us fans. Open palm strikes used to be a thing in the early days of MMA, especially with fighters like Bas Rutten showing their effectiveness. However, you don't see them much today, except for the Diaz brothers' Stockton slap, which is more about mocking than causing serious damage. One reason open palm strikes have fallen out of favor is that they're just not as effective for knocking someone out. Closed fist punches, thrown with a tight and compact form, usually pack more power and have a better chance of ending a fight with a knockout. The Diaz brothers' Stockton slap is more of a mind game. It's about taunting and annoying the opponent rather than delivering fight-ending damage. Nate Diaz in particular used it to get under Conor McGregor's skin during their bout. So while open palm strikes can have their moments, especially for showmanship, the UFC has evolved, and fighters nowadays prefer the power and effectiveness of closed fist punches when it comes to finishing fights.
Round knockout. Too powerful. It doesn't matter what kind of a technical striker you are. Doesn't matter.
The Stockton slap might be entertaining, but it's the exception rather than the rule in today's MMA scene. In the early days of MMA, suplexes were more of a thing, and fighters like Kevin Randleman, known for his wrestling prowess, pulled off some spectacular ones. One memorable instance was when he executed a textbook suplex on Fedor Emelianenko, causing him to crash down on his neck, and that's putting it mildly. Imagine being lifted off your feet and slammed down on your neck. Fedor survived that ordeal and even went on to win the fight, solidifying his semi-god status in the MMA world at the time. Remember the time when Rustam Khabilov introduced Ving Pichel to the infamous Dagestani Airlines? Well, you can't see that anymore, as hoisting your opponent and forcefully slamming their neck or head onto the ground can lead to significant injuries, including concussions and damage to the spinal cord. While suplexes are technically allowed in the UFC, it's not a popular or advisable move for fighters today. The UFC has strict rules about how suplexes can be executed. According to the regulations, a fighter cannot throw an opponent in a way that makes them land on their neck or head. It's considered too dangerous and against the safety standards set by the UFC. So even though suplexes were once a highlight in MMA, you won't see them as frequently in the UFC these days due to the heightened focus on fighter safety and the stringent rules surrounding this particular technique. But hey, do you remember Rampage Jackson slamming Ricardo Arona to oblivion? Well, slams are still legal in the UFC today. Jordan Levitt is not a fighter renowned for his knockout power. However, he earned his first KO in the UFC against Matt Wyman by choosing a slam as his primary weapon. Back in the day, submissions were like secret weapons in MMA. Fighters would catch their opponents off guard because, let's face it, there were so many flashy moves to worry about. Flying knees, showtime kicks, spinning elbows, you name it. Plus, nobody wanted to end up on the wrong side of a foot on the face kick or those wicked leg kicks. But times have changed. MMA fighters today are a different breed. They're well versed in all aspects of the game, and nobody wants to end up tangled in the deep waters with someone who knows how to choke the life out of them. Fighters are more cautious about being taken down, and many invest time in studying submission defense and escapes. As more fighters incorporate BJJ into their arsenal, the game evolves. The result? Fighters find more ways to avoid getting submitted. Tapping out is always an option, but with the rise of well-rounded training, fighters are better equipped to fend off those submission attempts. Knocking someone out seems to get more credit these days. Why? Well, it's showcased on more replays during MMA events, and the big screen lets fighters revel in the glory of their handiwork. Submissions, though still magical, may not always be as effective in the cage as they once were. Regardless, BJJ remains a fundamental part of the MMA game. Even if fighters are becoming more elusive when it comes to submissions, the benefits of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu go beyond the cage. It's a lifestyle and a set of teachings that many find too valuable to let go. The world of MMA has evolved, and today one of the most effective weapons in the octagon is the calf kick. Unlike regular leg kicks that target the meaty part of the thigh, the calf kick exploits the vulnerability of the lower leg, making it a potent choice for fighters. The upper legs of pro athletes are tough, muscular, and conditioned to withstand punishment. Regular leg kicks might hurt, but causing significant damage requires exceptional skill. On the other hand, the lower part of the leg has smaller muscles and offers little protection to crucial nerves, including the sciatic nerve, the body's largest nerve. For the attacker, this is a game changer. A direct hit to the side or just below the calf can immediately cause a limp, and a few well-placed strikes may even temporarily shut down the entire limb. Moreover, precise blows can damage the fibula, the thin bone behind the shin, responsible for stabilizing the ankle and supporting the muscles of the lower leg. If the fibula gets cracked, it's game over. The calf kick has become a strategic and powerful tool in the arsenal of modern MMA fighters, taking advantage of the vulnerabilities in an opponent's lower leg. However, certain MMA techniques, timeless and battle-tested, bridge the past, present, and future, standing as evergreen pillars of effectiveness in the unforgiving arena of combat sports. The jab, a fundamental striking tool, adeptly establishes distance and disrupts opponents' rhythm, as exemplified by the skills of George St. Pierre and TJ Dillashaw. The overhand punch, finding its niche in MMA with smaller gloves and effective level changes, has become iconic through fighters like Chuck Liddell and Fedor Emelianenko. Derived from Muay Thai, the round kick, showcased by Jose Aldo and Anthony Pettis, delivers devastating impact across various levels. Trips from the clinch, skillfully displayed by fighters like Yoel Romero, offer effective takedown variations. The sprawl, a crucial defensive move seen in Israel Adesanya and Yuri Prochaska, thwarts takedowns while maintaining control. While guard passing is diminished, it remains a fundamental skill for transitioning, as evidenced by creative passes by Islam Makhachev. The rear naked choke gains prominence with an increased focus on back takes, skillfully demonstrated by Damian Maia and Daniel Cormier. In summary, the world of MMA has evolved, leaving behind once effective moves like covering the mouth or foot stomping. Modern fighters with enhanced skills and athleticism have embraced new strategies, such as the potent calf kick. While old-school submissions faced increased resistance, timeless techniques like the jab, overhand punch, and round kick continue to be effective. These skills serve as a bridge between the past and the dynamic future of MMA. And what do you guys think? Do you believe any old-school MMA fighter would fare well in the UFC today?